Hey everybody, YouTube world, I'll try to make this intro real quick. Just thinking about Martin Luther King Day. It's tomorrow. It's Martin Luther King Eve, as some people say. And I was thinking about it a lot and decided to write a spoken word. So this is like a poem, I guess you could say. It's called Who, and it's a Martin Luther King tribute. Two things are more destructive than all others. Only one thing is more destructive than these two. Both together. Bad philosophy and love of self. See, if you have just bad philosophy but actually love the world around you, you might come up with some weird solutions, be infected with a disease called confusion, or write some odd New Year's resolutions, but your life itself wouldn't be a pollution. And if you have good philosophy, but you just love yourself more than your brother, well, you'll build your big house with a 3-car garage, live in hedonism, believe in a facade, conquer the land to give your family a bigger yard, all the while the heart you say you love with becomes hard. But even though those two things separate aren't great, a straw man might think with only one, you're living a happy fate. But the real problem is when these two issues come together to create a diabolical situation. Bad philosophy and love of self creates Germany in the 40s, Rwanda and slavery, discrimination, hatred, rape and deprivation, segregation, Haitian nation damnation, like you hear on the news that these people deserve this. Earthquake, are we all fools? America the high and mighty, looking back on atomic bomb attacks, blaming the Germans, Japs, calling them evil from within. We are just like the Nazis. You got to understand their sin. It wasn't that they hated everyone else. It was that they loved themselves and believed a philosophy that told them to do what they did. The same two things that crept into Europeans to make them enter Africa and take away freedoms. It isn't God's fault that the God's fault that they say they believed in. It's the bad philosophy and love of self came together to break even. And evil got even eviler than Eden. That Eden that God created perfect and the King was dreaming in, that fell far from heaven to create hell in which we live in, praying for Augustine's city of God, not Dante's Inferno. King was shot on a balcony because he was so thoroughly in love with the world around him that he couldn't let it burn to the ground anymore. King didn't love himself. He loved you. King was a damn good philosopher too. In my words, he was a religious anthropologist. Check it, let me explain. Anthropology is the study of human origins, and a lot of people think that means Darwinian evolution, but it's not. It's a philosopher's term that asks one important question. What is man? What is a human being? What is the reason that we reason, that we're affected by seasons and bent to commit treason against one another? What are we? But see, King was too smart for those philosophers. Rather than answer their question, he decided to pose his own, to lead a world to confession of their transgressions. Not what is a human being, but who is a human being. King wasn't content in being a vent of frustration. He came to write the dictionary of a new racial language, of which bad philosophy and love of self would be left on the outside, and the cries of widows, orphans, slaves, and victims of all sizes, whose prize would be to be brought into the feast to eat at the table of humanity. King asked who, and tonight, in light of him, I pose the same question to all of you. Regardless of religious or political affiliation, you cannot close your eyes and believe the lies about the 21st century genocide. The lies that say that children are not losing their lives because they're not actually human. They are human. In the tradition of King, to give a vote to the voteless, I raising my voice for the voiceless to give a choice to the choiceless. I'm amazed at how easily we look back at history, condemn the people of the murder of humanity, their genocides and race-based slavery, and not see our own plight. Tonight, don't read or write until you think about what King might say. If he were to come back today and see the graves of children who never saw the light of a single day, would he applaud our ways? White children and black children holding hands, and the sun can never happen if they're never born. Bad philosophy and love of self. This isn't a march on Washington, as it is a march to your soul. I don't care about voters, YouTube views, and Twitter tweets. I want each of you to look within and see millions of children who are victims of a sin and ask yourself these two questions. Who is human? And do I love him over myself? Thanks.